That's how we get down. Even if it sounds very complicated and probably, crisis causing, that's how we're doing it, okay? Don't think too hard about it. Just blow some stuff out of the back of the nacelle. I don't know. Maybe it'll work. It worked. I work hard for them views. So hard for them views. So hard for them views. And you better hit subscribe. Sorry, I had to get that out of the way. It's just something that's been stuck in my brain for a while. Guess what? Mustard colored rim for the thumbnail. That's gone for the moment. We're back to ketchup, baby. What does that mean? We're reviewing things. If it's red, it's a review. If it's mustard, it's something else. Upload schedule has been wild lately because of Star Trek Resurgence, and I'm pleased to say it has resulted in exactly zero benefit to the channel. Having a lot more uploads has not equaled any more subs or likes or anything like that. Not that I care. I'm doing it because it's fun and because I just wanted to share the Star Trek Resurgence experience with somebody. This is not a Resurgence review. Obviously, from the title, this is Strange New Worlds. But I just felt like now is a good time to get it out of the way. That being said, the Resurgence videos have been performing. I don't know why. The views and likes are kind of decent. They're on par for the channel, which is surprising to me. No one really says anything, but they just kind of silently watch it, I guess. So you can follow along with my Star Trek Resurgence playthrough. But this is my Strange New Worlds watch through, at least for episode 1 anyway. This is the broken circle. That's right, it's not the fixed square. It's not the mended triangle. It's not the destroyed polygon of any other number of sides. This is the circle. What does that mean? Well, it's kind of just a one hand off, forget about it line. My contact's in the broken circle. That's how it comes up. It kind of seems like it's just something they came up with that sounded cool. Another cool sounding thing from Star Trek, the Burn, Red Lady, Broken Circle. Will it be back later? I don't know. But that's enough screwing around on the small details. Let's get down into the broad strokes. What's going on in Broken Circle? Well, this is New Trek. And as you know, when a new season of Star Trek ends, we like to, shake things up a bit. We like to, break up the status quo. We kill people. We throw people off the ship. And then in the next season, they come right back. Am I right? We've seen it in Lower Decks, and we're seeing it again here. Strange New World Season 1 ended. Lots of speculation. So Leanne's off the ship. I think Uhura was off the ship as well. And so is Una. And in this episode, we get Uhura back. And we get Leanne back. Sorry. For those of you who are speculating about maybe they'd be on a bigger adventure, not really. They're all back. We're back to status quo, except for Una. Interesting bit there. This episode begins with Una and I almost called him Spike. Pike talking about the trial she's going to be involved with. If you've seen season 1, you'd know that she lied on her entrance papers to Starfleet about her genetics. She lied about who she was. She was an Illyrian who benefit from genetic engineering. Again, the whole plot about genetically engineers characters in Starfleet coming back. It's back, baby. It's never really gone. But I can't say in terms of circumstance and intrigue, I can't say this is the most interesting take on genetic engineered people in Starfleet. I was a little bit more taken with Prodigy. But with back, baby, what's going to happen to Una? Pike has to leave the ship momentarily. I guess he's going to go fight on behalf of Una's side at whatever trial this is going to be taking place with. He's kind of, I think, in my estimation, Pike is just going off to episode 2. I'll see you guys in episode 2. Goodbye. I think that's where he went. I think he went off to episode 2, where we're going to pick up the Una storyline, because this episode is not about Una, and it's not about Pike. This episode doesn't have its captain. Instead, our captain is Spock. Spock has taken over, and he doesn't look too excited. This is Spock, as you've always seen him. A little bit overly emotional, a little bit droopy, a little bit sad. I thought Vulcans weren't supposed to have emotion, blah, 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 whatever. This is a Spock we've seen before. I hate to say it, which is par for the course for this episode. This episode is derivative. This episode steals from, Star Trek 3, Star Trek 6. It steals from Picard as well in a certain way. Although, is it stealing if you steal from your own franchise? I don't know. Maybe it's an homage. This episode begins with the Enterprise in Space Dock, or Starbase 1. I may have just accidentally called it Space Dock. I'm sorry. Picard Season 3 was on my mind, as you'll find out why shortly. We need to interpret a message that was received supposedly from Leanne. There was a moment where somebody needs to come into the Enterprise to modify Uhura's comm station. No, you can't modify my comm station. I got it set up just how I like it. You can't touch it. And I was just thinking, well, hold on, wait a minute. In the context of this episode, Uhura receives a secret message from Leanne, right? The character last episode who left to find the parents of that girl who was, captured by Gorn. Yada, yada, yada. But she tells this inspector or technician, no, don't come near my comm panel. But this line occurs before we know that a secret transmission just came through to the Enterprise and not Starbase. So it's like they wrote it backwards, or they just forgot to have the line at the beginning. I couldn't understand why Uhura wouldn't let this guy operate on this machine. And then later we find out it really looks to me, maybe I'm crazy, it really looks to me like she got the coded message after that, thus making her attempt to dissuade the technician from operating on her machine quite lame. But be that as it may, Spock, for some reason, just decides to kind of take Leanne up on the offer. We need the Enterprise, potential anti-Federation threat, secret signal, sent straight to the Enterprise, not Starbase. Spock does the right thing, and he brings it up with Starfleet Command, that being Robert April. You could learn something from that, Picard. Except in Picard, Starfleet was infiltrated by changelings, and we trusted Beverly's instinct on that. This is not a Picard review, although this episode is derivative. Have you heard this somewhere before? We've received a secret message, meant only for us, that requires us to steal a ship to go out to the edge of some disputed quote-unquote zone in space. When did that happen? In the first episode of another season of Star Trek, recently. Wink winks, nudge nudge, say no more, say no more. Writing system, Beverly, Picard, Riker. Do I need to spell it out for you? So needless to say, I thought the beginning of this episode was bad. I was out of it by the first 10 minutes of this episode. I didn't like it all. Especially with some of these dialogue, these little bits of dialogue they went through, straight out of Discovery. If you like Discovery, great, but Discovery dialogue, it's sneaking in here. It's like, there's a moment where Una and Pike are talking to each other. Hey, I knew not to start a fight I couldn't win. You taught me that. Oh, there goes that Boy Scout again. What? This unfounded, self-aggrandizing statements, these affirmations based on things that we haven't had enough time to really learn. Boy Scout for Pike? You taught me that. You taught me to be cool and never pick a fight I couldn't win. You're the best. It's not really my thing. I've never seen people really talk like that. So what are you planning on doing? I thought that was obvious. We're going to steal the Enterprise. Bum, 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 bum. We're stealing Enterprise, just like Star Trek 3. Just like something else that happened in TOS. The Menagerie, anyone? In a manner of speaking. How many times are we going to steal the ship? Spock's going to do it again, in a manner of speaking. This is just his first try, so he's working out the kinks. We're learning how to do it, and we get help from Pelia. We simulate a warp core breach, and Pelia, our new engineer, supposedly for this season, tells us how to complete this operation by ejecting something, I guess plasma, out of the warp nacelles. Do that, and you see the docking clamps blow automatically, and we got to make space, and then we're gone. We're in like Flynn, except we're going out. We're warping out. We're not warping in. It doesn't make any sense. And Pelia, I mean, maybe this didn't work for you. I loved it. I'm down. I was down with it. Pelia, I was like, what is this weird accent? This is crazy. She's like a witch or something. This was so cool. She was like a witch, and like, I guess the warp core is going to be her cauldron. You know, instead of putting in antimatter and positive matter and plasma and all that stuff, we're going to be putting in Eye of Newt, I guess. I don't know. And some worm's wort. I love worm's wort. And we're going to have that all in there, and we're going to get a stew going. Is that what this character is going to be like? A witch? I mean that in a positive way. I mean that in the coolest, most fun, dynamic, interesting way possible. You could look at this and think this is totally silly, but I've been down with some of these strange characters lately. Strange, you know. I don't mean that in a bad way, of course. But I'm here to see what happens. Right? I'm along for the ride with this Pelia character. Mysterious. I guess she is, quote, a lanthanite, unquote, which, according to this episode, I've never seen these aliens before, have an extremely long lifespan. Very interesting. What does that mean? We could have some pretty cool flashbacks later. She explicitly states she's been living among humans for a long time without being caught out as an alien. What does that mean? We could have a flashback to something that was going on hundreds of years ago. Very cool. And I'm looking forward to what we get away with. In that sense, Kerbin Creek, anybody? An episode that's a flashback, a tall tale. You know, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. Maybe she's embellishing a little bit. You know, I think there could be something really cool there. And tell a Star Trek story that takes place in the 2100s again. That could really be something. Think of it like Kerbin Creek 2. I'm getting lost in details here, but we need to get to the Kajitar system. And according to Robert April, this is a planet where it's rich in dilithium. And we have to take turns, you see. The Federation operates the place for so long, and then the Klingons come in. You know, that's how we get down. Even if it sounds very complicated and probably, crisis-causing, that's how we're doing it, okay? Don't think too hard about it. But we're not supposed to be there now. It's the Klingon show right now, and if we're showing up there, well, that could be, you know, a spark that may light again the fires of war that may cause millions to die, as it already has. This is after the end of the Klingon War. What are we going to do? Well, we could take the entire Enterprise and its top command staff and go to this planet and see what's up with Lan, right? Or we could take a small shuttle with hardly anybody and remove the shuttle's transponder, right? And dress it up like it's not a Federation shuttle and just fly that in. We'll fly the Enterprise so far and then take the shuttle the rest of the way, right? Subterfuge, right? Wrong. We take the whole Enterprise. We're already stealing the Enterprise. Break the rules a little bit more and take an undercover shuttle. Why not? And then, to add insult to injury, we go down the surface of this planet looking for land with no disguises on. Like, we're only the crew. We're only the command staff of the flagship of the United Federation of Planets. No one will recognize us, right? No one knows who to look for. Nobody knows Spock. You don't have to wear anything on your head to hide it. No disguises here. Par for the course, I guess, for Star Trek. I see this happen a lot. Not wearing disguises when you probably should. Oh well, things go fine. We get down to the planet. And sure enough, Klingons are operating the show. And we do find Lan. We take down Uhura, Spock, Mbenga, Chapel. Am I missing anybody? Anyway, Mbenga finds Lan. Lan's there, and she tracked Oriana's parents to this planet with Oriana in tow. The character she rescued from the Gorn last season. The parents aren't doing too hot. They need help. They need medical assistance. I guess the Federation doesn't leave med supplies there when their turn is done. I don't know. Anyway, we're suffering from ion radiation. Not from dilithium. Ion radiation comes from photon torpedoes. something spooky is being stored underground on this planet. Something that the Federation occupants didn't notice somehow when they were there on their last tenure as operators of this world. Somehow the Federation didn't notice. I don't know how that works, but we didn't notice it. We go down underground, we get caught by Klingons. Klingons are like, hey, give me these weapons right now. Leanne says, I have a antimatter detonator. You better watch it. So I'm going to sell you these weapons and you're going to give me double the price. I have the Corbomite right here. Except it's not Corbomite. It's an antimatter detonator. To which Uhura says, that's not a thing, is it? No, that's not a thing. So we've waylaid the Klingons. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We got what we wanted. The Klingons' plan is actually to attract Federation technology stored underground and then use it for, wink wink, like a false flag attack. Their words. They're going to construct a Federation ship to use it to attack them to reignite this war. You see, apparently there's another faction here, if not Klingons themselves, who are in this for profit. Wow. Wait a minute. Could there be Ferengi? Let's hope not. They're a TNG class of species. Let's leave it at that, even though we've seen them in Enterprise. Whoops. Who's out there interested in profit? Is it secretly people from the quote-unquote Broken Circle? Leanne's contacts in the Broken Circle? Are they keeping this war going? I don't need to tell you that whenever a war ends, there's always somebody who wants to start it back up again for fun, for pride, for profit. It's a tale as old as time. I don't think I need to explain it, unfortunately. We gotta stop this from happening. Chapel and Mbenga go down underground. This is the biggest cave I've ever seen. Decades of dilithium mining. What's inside? There's an actual freaking starship inside this cavern. Very cool. Constructed haphazardly, it looks, from various Starfleet ship parts. And we're never going to get a model of it because Eagle Moss is gone now, as you know. If you don't know, you can just look up EAGLEMOSS and see what the deets are yourself. Did I say EAGLEMOSS? I think, yeah, that's the one. Eagle Moss. That's it, right? We're trying to get a communication to the Enterprise. We're trying to say, listen, they're building this ship. They're going to cause an attack. We are now on the clock. Leanne called it properly. Although you'll notice Leanne's plan and her contacting the Enterprise sounds an awful lot like something Klingons would do on this planet who are attempting to reignite this war. If you think about it logically, and I didn't really understand this until the second viewing, what they want to do is use a Federation ship to attack the Klingon ships. You know, it's kind of like a repeat of Star Trek 6, if you've seen it. That could just as easily be the Enterprise. So if I were Spock, and I heard this message from Leanne, and I was forward-thinking enough, I may have concluded that it could have actually been an attempt to have the Enterprise show up so we could catch it, and then pretend like they attacked us. You know, we could have fired a Federation photon torpedo at ourselves. We'd have the photons, call it the Enterprise. There you go. It's a done deal. We're back in war, baby. So, you know, it kind of works out the same way. If we have this false Federation ship attack us, that's bad. Is it worse to be attacked by the flagship? Spock may have inadvertently made their plan work for them. Had this gone one hair different, Spock could have fulfilled, a self-fulfilling prophecy. He could have responded to Leanne to stop the false flag attack, inadvertently causing their own false flag attack, except it really was them. It could have been worse. Had this not gone according to plan, according to luck, according to faith, of course, luck is not a factor, hope is not a strategy, but we do get away with it by the seat of our pants because this ship launches, baby. This ship that Klingons have been hiding from the Federation somehow when they were operating this planet underground launches from the surface. Chapel and Mbenga manage to get inside of it. They're looking after Klingons. There's kind of like a blink and you'll miss it theme of PTSD, of war veterans combat, because it kind of feels like Chapel and Mbenga were involved with the Klingon War to some extent. How much and how deep, I don't know. But they do recall events of the Klingon War, and Mbenga is struggling looking after these Klingons. His mind's racing. He can operate, he can do it, he can handle it, he's experienced, he's smart, he's Mbenga, we love him. But that doesn't stop the flashbacks, that doesn't stop the pain. And we remedy this, I guess. We get to the transponder room of this fake Federation ship to send a signal to the Enterprise. We do it by taking a bizarre concoction that we inject to give us superhuman abilities, like it's some kind of drug. I don't know if it's like some kind of adrenaline or something. It seems like something that could totally exist, but I don't want it to exist. We're in a Federation starship. Wouldn't it have been cooler if Mbenga was like, I'm going to mix up a concoction because I'm a doctor that will cause momentarily cause these Klingons to go to sleep that are defending this room, and we'll put it in this vent and we'll pump it into the hallway outside of us, right? And they'll all go to sleep, and then we'll wait and we'll make these makeshift masks and we'll run to the transponder room when they're asleep. Good? That sounds like a good idea that would like be a Star Trek thing. But instead we take this drug that I hope is illegal, that makes our characters fly into a rage and hand-to-hand beat up multiple Klingons. I don't know what's worse, this or beating up the changelings in Picard Season 3, but it was overly long, drawn out, and they just wanted a fight scene. And I just tuned out for a while, and I just let them wail on these Klingons, and it's not really for me. I don't know why we gotta have these scenes like this, why we gotta have these extensive fight scenes. It's something that's like uniquely new Trek, to use that word, if you'll excuse that. Overly long, drawn out fight scenes between lots of people. I just don't understand it. I just want, let's put two hands together and just kind of run up behind a Klingon and crack him in the back of the neck, and like maybe with my knowledge of Klingon anatomy, I can like hit him like in his like liver or something and like knock him out, because I'm a Mbenga, I'm a doctor, I understand this. Things like that. That's kind of, and in the original idea I had with the chemical in the HVAC system. I mean, we're gonna die. Let's pull some strings here. Anti-Federation threat, according to Leanne. If this false flag goes off, we gotta stop this. The ship takes off with us on it. We do get to the transponder room doing what I just said. We send a signal to the Enterprise, a simple signal. Blow up this ship. Destroy this ship. Mbenga, Chapel, they're on this ship, and they're sending a clear and distinct message to Spock to destroy this ship. Okay? Spock has some kind of feelings for Chapel. It was a one-off thing that showed up momentarily in TOS, but because we need to, access and amplify everything from TOS, this is actually supercharged Spock, so now he's super in love with Chapel or something. Is the feeling mutual? I'm not sure. But you're asking Spock to kill teammates and a potential love interest. And this is emotional Spock, right? This is like dude, we're really going to challenge Spock. What if Spock was like emotional and was having problems and stuff? Wouldn't that be so cool? We've seen that 1,000 times. We've seen it, I mean, what was the episode? Sarek? I think the episode's called Sarek in TNG. Check that out for something cool about Vulcans losing their minds. In a manner of speaking. So they do fire on the ship. Smart choice. But oh my god, there's a Federation EV suit signal. Surprise. They put on their suits fast enough in order to eject themselves from the ship and then get transported back in the Enterprise. Who would have thunk it, right? I mean, it's very hard to get invested in anything that could potentially bad happen or tension-inducing in this show if you know everybody's going to survive. I mean, I knew Mbenga had to live. I knew Chapel had to live. So it was going to go wrong, really. It kind of deflates it. I mean, Mbenga is having flashbacks to the Klingon War, and that's bad, and I understand that. But as the audience, I just want to say, listen, it's not going to be that bad. Mbenga, cheer up, buddy. You only got a little bit left to go, and you don't got to worry about it again, bud. See how it's kind of nasty and sad and deflates the theme? Like, I mean, you know, that's another thing about this episode, the muddled themes I'll get into in a moment. Our characters are back in the Enterprise. We're okay. And in the truest spirit of Star Trek, we make friends out of potential enemies. Because Spock has some explaining to do to this Klingon guy. We just saw the Enterprise. What are you doing? Let's talk about it over some blood wine. And Spock goes down there, enjoys some blood wine, looks very awkward, very funny. And we're A-okay. And we have a happy ending. Very good. And Pelia has a discussion with Spock on the surface of his planet, Kajitar 4. How about I stay on as the engineer? What's so bad, do you think, about living for thousands of years? Spock says, oh, maybe losing your loved ones? Trying to pretend to be a human? Nuh-uh, Spock. You're talking to Pelia. Pelia says, the boredom! Yeah, you know, in the truest sense of Star Trek, in its good old days, we're not going to have a downer ending. We're gonna bait you with something sad, and then we're gonna turn it around and say, no, listen, it's not all bad. I'm gonna be on the Enterprise. I'm gonna be the engineer, and we're not gonna have any more boredom anymore because it looks like there's no boredom on the Enterprise. Hopefully, that speech she gave is prophetic about this season, and there's no more boredom on the Enterprise from now on. Consider it a palate cleanser. We just had Picard season 3, so detailed, so lore rich, so dark, and so mysterious. Whoa, what's going on? Maybe we can all just take a moment and just enjoy Strange New World Season 1. Let's just turn our brains off in a manner of speaking. I don't mean that in a horrible way meant to demean the show. I don't mean that at all. Right at the very end, a little teaser, sort of. Spock, you done goofed. Don't do it again. I'll consider that hangover to be your punishment. And it really looks... laugh out loud moment for me. It really appears as though Spock is drunk. It takes a subtle actor to do it, to make Spock drunk. Like, Spock has 0, and then he has 0.01, and then negative 0.01. And you have to play within that window of emotion. And he gets it across pretty well. Admiral, do you mind lowering the volume of your voice, please? Spock is drunk, hangover, as it were. I'll consider that your punishment. Thanks, Robert April. Again, this is Star Trek. You can do whatever you want. As long as you save the world at the last moment, it's okay. It doesn't matter how insane it was or how dangerous it was. We're all good. Robert April is talking to another admiral, and he says, listen, oh, you went easy on Spock? Well, he just saved us from fighting a war on 2 fronts. 2 fronts, huh? We knew about the Klingons. That's off the table. Who else is it? And we zoom in on a screen, and it says Gorn ship, or Gorn attack ship, or something like that. So are we going to be having a war with the Gorn this season? Who knows? I don't remember that in the history books. Hopefully we have a chance to fix the Gorn that were kind of sort of ruined in season 1. We kind of just made them into a mindless animal, some kind of creature. I didn't really love it, but we're getting a second chance here, and I believe in second chances. That was Strange New Worlds, season 2, episode 1, Broken Circle. Thematically, like I said, a little muddled. What's it about? Is it about PTSD? Is it about what you're willing to sacrifice to save the ship? Is it about what it means to be a captain? The moment where you have to fire on your own people? I'm not sure. Is it about negotiations with a former combatant? Is it about taking turns on this planet? It introduces a number of themes, but none of them really were hammered home enough. Maybe it's better that way than hammering it home too much. If you hammer it home too much, you run the risk of feeling like an educational film. You know, as some would call it, ham-fisted. You do run that risk, so maybe I shouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth. But suffice to say, thematically, I wasn't really over the moon for this. Plot-wise, it got better as it went on. I was interested in what was happening here. Oh, the Klingons are building a Federation ship, or at least these Klingons were. They're building their own ship, which identifies as a CrossFailed class. Hold your horses. You knew this wasn't a CrossFailed class when you saw it, right? the CrossFailed class is the USS Discovery. It looks way different than this. Look closely. If you look at the saucer, it looks like a saucer from a CrossFailed class. It could identify electronically as a CrossFailed class. And we just have to take it for granted that Mitchell, or whatever her name was, couldn't really visually identify what a CrossFailed class looks like. Maybe in Starfleet we just look at the saucer. Maybe the ship's recorder is in the bridge. I don't know. But whatever it's sending out is a CrossFailed class signal. I'm willing to accept it, although it looks nothing like a CrossFailed class, and no one will call it a CrossFailed class. I think you get the picture. It's not a big deal. But there's an explanation here if you're willing to look for it. Visually, what can I say? Why does this look so much more expensive than Picard? This looks like exponentially more expensive than Picard did. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm not saying the ships are better. I'm just saying the special effects, pound for pound, kind of beat Picard. The ship is, bright enough on the inside. Things reflect onto the floor. There's wide open areas. The planet looks beautiful. It looks beautiful in the day and spooky at night. An interesting contrast. I mean, contrasts are at the heart of good art. So it's a great looking episode. Great looking. Theme, not so much. Plot got better as it went on, although it's very derivative. Now, musically, I just kind of fell asleep. I don't know. There was your customary TOS jingles here and there, little chimes. They're not really breaking the bank musically. I was just kind of having a bit of a snooze musically. So we're really not succeeding that much on two fronts. We're doing okay on another two. Strange New Worlds as a show has done better. It can do better. In terms of a first episode for a season, this is not that great, but it's also not that terrible either. What do you want your first episode to do? Entice you, set you up for what's going to happen next. Could it be the Gorn coming back? What's going to happen with Una? I can't say I'm super interested, but it's better than nothing. So all things being told, I'm going to have to go at a reasonably solid 5.5 for this episode. It's not bad. We've done better. We can do better. Here's hoping for more. I'm enjoying Pelia, but maybe it's not for everybody. I'll see you guys next week for whatever the next episode of Strange New World is. I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'm going to see you next time I see you.